Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today's video is just a huge disclaimer. This is not free to play friendly. Quite honestly, this may not even be whale friendly. This is a friendly video for players who want to be entertained by pure insanity as far as damage and players who are Krakens who have these champions. But I was doing a takeover for Mahoma. He previously was doing about 13 billion full auto on Brutal Hydra. My goal was to just improve Brutal Hydra damage and maybe get him into Nightmare so we could have different options for Brutal and Hard for pushing up overall higher Hydra Clash scores. But the biggest thing is 100% full auto. Now with Trunda teams, when I went to search for this, Shu-Zen is on this account. Shu-Zen's an awesome champion, but her targeting's a little bit weird. So it was difficult. Well, actually on the optimizer, there was 0 Trunda teams, at least for this current rotation, that used Shu-Zen and was also full auto. Let me go ahead and pull this up real quick. We're going to go to search for all the Trunda teams on Hydra Rotation 1. It's going to be the highest damage teams, basically. Once this actually loads, we'll see. Okay, so 34 billion, 29 billion, 14 billion, 7 billion, but then we exclude manual teams. And the only thing you're going to see is a 35 billion damage team, which is the one I built, by the way, and then a 1 billion damage team. There is a huge gap between 35 billion and 1 billion. Before I built this team, there was nothing above this 1 billion damage, and he has all the champions to make this. He has incredible champions. There's players out there who have built this, I have no doubts, but they haven't ran the optimizer, so it may not be something you see. But I want to share with you all the builds of this team. For some reason, it's really hot in my room, so I'm sorry about the glistening. I was outside loading some stuff from a shed. I came inside, and I am sweating too much for this video. Maybe I'm just excited. Either way, I want to show you the breakdown of this team. I tried to spare you guys a little while from seeing the craziness of this account, but look at this, a +4 6-star Trunda. Craziness. I'm going to show you her gear in just a minute, but the main thing I want you to pay attention to is the speed. The speed of these champions are very important. This is what allows it to be full auto. In case you don't know how Shu-Zen works with her A2 ability, is she's going to prioritize the leader champion. If the leader champion has increased attack, increased crit rate, and increased crit damage, she's going to go to the next in line. So a common answer to this is to have 2 Trundas. You have Trunda 1 getting the buffs, then Trunda 2 gets the buff if Trunda 1 already has those buffs. That works out great, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to use Firrol. Firrol's going to boost the damage by 20%. The other Trunda has like a 4-star awakening. This is a 6-star +4 Trunda. We don't want to use the lesser Trunda, right? So Shu-Zen, what I had to do is speed tune her properly. I'm going to go ahead and be honest as well that I don't really know how this speed tune came to be. I didn't do no like magical mathematic equation to figure out, hey, this is how it's going to work, but these numbers work. So this video is serving as a guide for players wanting to build this, but also as a, I guess, check mark in time for Mahoma. If the team gets out of whack, out of speed tune somehow, he can come back and see, okay, these were the speeds of the champions, these are the presets, this is what I need to run. So Trunda, 229, Firrol, 307. Lydia, 297. Now, I believe the Yumekos and the Shu-Zen are the most important to have correctly speed tuned. Yumeko, 328. You have her opening with this A2 ability, and then prioritizing number 3. I have her set to prioritize her A2 ability as number 2 as well, so we can get more hexes up. Yumeko number 2 is 356, and then Shu-Zen is 1 speed slower than Yumeko. Now, you'll notice in the turn orders that Trunda cuts in at a very interesting time, is only using this A2 ability. So maybe there's a specific percentage that Trunda's at compared to the Yumeko speeds that's causing her to do that. I'll show you guys all this information in just a moment, but try to get as close to these speeds as you can. Now, if we take a look at these champions, you're going to see how they're built, and I want to talk about their masteries as well. So before getting to the run, let's go over this. This Trunda's in Savage plus Zeal. Now, if you could go 6-piece Zeal, I think that's technically the best. Merciless plus Zeal is going to be very good as well. If I could get a Slayer necklace, that'd be great. There's better builds, but the main thing I want to talk about is just pushing damage as crazy high as you can get on Trunda. Since we're running Shu-Zen, we're going to have an extra 30% crit rate anyway, so she's going to be good there. And we have very good attack. Now, if we look at Hydra specifically, that's a thick Trunda. 420% crit damage. I mean, when we get the extra 30% from Shu-Zen, it's 450. She is a big Trunda. This is on Nightmare. You could scale it down to Brutal and be okay as well. But this is her build. Ideally, we could have like extra Slayer stuff because that'd be an extra 15% crit damage. It'd be pretty crazy. The pieces, I'll click through them real quick. Trunda's going to be the champion who, if she's not 6-star, doesn't have these really good stats, she's just not going to function on Nightmare very well. Like, there's a threshold you have to hit, and if you don't, you're just not going to be blowing up the heads. And this Trunda blows up the heads for sure. Everything's fully booked. Crushing Rend, there's no other thing you would even consider. And then for her masteries, I went this. Honestly, the support stuff doesn't really matter. The defense tree really doesn't matter either because you're not doing any counterattacks to begin with. Extra accuracy is not really great. We don't want any buff or debuff boosting our turn meter really for any of these champions because it is speed tuned and we need to keep the speed tune the entire time. Getting the Heart of Glory is important though because we do want to make sure we're getting that extra 5% damage when attacking with full HP. Extra 5% of damage on, say, 100,000. That's not so much, right? It's 5,000 extra damage. An extra 5% damage on 100 billion, that's a lot of extra damage. So you're going to want that extra 5% without a doubt. The crit damage, these are the masters for Trunda. You can see it pretty easy. So next up, let's take a look at the Yumeko. So both the Yumekos are built very similarly, I do believe. Matter of fact, I don't think I even adjusted their speeds from what he had before. But for Hydra specifically, we have 328 for the slower one, good accuracy. You can use them in PvP content, no worries. For the blessings, I would say if you have a high blessing one, pick up Temporal Chains if it's 6-star, or if we can, actually may not even matter honestly, decreases turn meters of all enemies by 15% whenever an enemy receives a third active buff. They're really not going to be getting much buffs anyways, but either way, Temporal Chains possibly, but number one, get Intimidating Presence. Trunda's going to be in the leader spot. Intimidating Presence is going to boost the aura, so your highest blessing champion, get that on them. Everybody else is basically going to be mixes of Cruelty. Brimstone doesn't even really matter because they really don't get any turns. Masteries are right here. And then for the other Yumeko, the level 48 Yumeko, level 48 is not special by any means whatsoever, but that's just where she's at. She is the faster one, oddly enough. But this is her build, 356. So she is a little bit faster. We have good accuracy. Honestly, she could be built a lot better. Maybe if we boost her speed, get her into PvP content or whatever, maybe we recheck the Trunda team. But the biggest thing is make sure if you change the speeds, you watch the run to make sure it's not going to fail randomly. The skills, everything's booked. We have no blessings, not a big deal. Now, the next two champions, this is very interesting in my opinion. This Firrol, actually, yesterday I ran it. He had 8 pieces of protection. I finished the run, got the Hydra chests, got him the 9th piece of protection, so his damage is going to be so much better than before. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be awesome because now he's boosting allies' damage by 5% for each buff placed by him. So the Trunda is going to be doing an extra 10% of damage because she's going to be getting these 2 unique buffs, which is absolutely incredible. So then we have the War Master, just some little extra damage. He really isn't using anything other than his A3 ability anyways. But his actual build is, let's see, Hydra battles. We could build these champions with 100% crit rate, Lydia especially, but to be honest, it's going to be peanuts compared to what Trunda's doing. 307, good speed, good accuracy. He's bringing Veil. You could bring other champions besides Firrol without too much of an issue, but he just boosts that damage so much. Like I said before, an extra 5% damage is big. Imagine an extra 20% on top of 100 billion. Now you're doing 120 billion damage. Sorry, 120 million per hit from Trunda. It is crazy. So now we have Shu-Zen and Lydia. Let's go look at Lydia. Lydia was in a 9-piece protection. However, with Shu-Zen on the team, they overlap some buffs. So Shu-Zen brings the increased speed. She does use this. Lydia brings the strengthen, which is our only unique buff that she brings. That would be an extra 5% damage, but the extra damage from Hex is even more valuable, I believe. Because the hexes from Yumeko may not be up on everybody all the time, and if you're not clicking the heads, you probably want to have a champion in Cursed. And Lydia just makes the most sense to be in Cursed, in my opinion. I could try her in Protection to see how much of a difference it brings, but with this run, we have Shu-Zen and 9-piece Protection. So she's boosting the Trunda's damage an extra 15, 20%. Crazy. The benefits of Protection, 9-piece, is so crazy. But we don't really need it on Lydia. It's a small extra, well, not really small, honestly. It's an extra 5% damage, which is an extra 5 million damage per hit, potentially on 100 million. So it may be worth swapping, honestly. I don't know. I need to compare that some more, but it's very close either way. We have Cruelty on her. Her stats are right here. 297. There's her accuracy. Her skills right here. And then her masteries. You see the masteries. Her build's nothing super crazy. Cursed, if you do 9-piece protection, do 9-piece protection. Now for Shu-Zen, she is in 9-piece protection, which is super lucky to have on 2 champions as well. Honestly, getting Lydia in protection instead of cursed may be the way to go. Actually, no. Firrol doesn't do much of his A2 ability, so we probably don't need him in cursed set, though he could be decent in cursed, honestly. Well, no, he's in 9-piece protection. Never mind. I was trying to think of a different champion to place the hexes. It may be worth seeing if Yumeko's spread the hexes very well. But 327, 433, the Shu-Zen's just 1 speed slower than the slowest Yumeko. With Shu-Zen, and honestly with Lydia and the Yumekos, you do not want Cycle of Magic. It's not going to help you really, and it's really not making a difference. But you don't want Arcane Celerity. You do not want Rapid Response. You don't want Lasting Gifts for Shu-Zen especially, because it's going to extend the buff duration on Trunda, causing Trunda to not drop them, and then Shu-Zen's going to boost the second person in the team order. You also don't want to have Cycle of Revenge, though to be honest, the Hydra never really gets a turn anyways, so it may not be that big of a deal. But turn meter boosting stuff, don't want it. You really don't even want the refresh accessories on the Yumekos especially, because if one gets it reset and the other doesn't, it's just going to make things weird, out of tune. Lydia, Trunda, Firrol, and well, Shu-Zen, you don't want it either. You don't want any like reflex, no merciless 6-piece stuff, no merciless 4-piece, sorry. You don't want anything like that on these champions because you want to rely on the Yumekos resetting specifically and just go from there. So I just changed Lydia over into a protection set to compare her to what she did with the curse set. Now, the best run that we've done so far was what Mahoma did after the Firrol was in 9-piece protection. He did 42.6 billion. So if now Lydia in 9-piece protection, same speed, same everything, does better, we're just going to leave it there. The difference is that the Lydia won't be placed in the hex, so it's going to be all on the Yumekos to spread the hex appropriately. They may not do it because sometimes the Yumekos like to place it in some weird spots and the team order already got messed up. I bet what happened is the Head of Decay or the Head of Mischief probably stole turn meter from the Trunda. That should never happen, so let's just see how it goes again. But if it does happen, just reset it. It's as simple as that. Very, very rarely does it ever need to be reset. Typically, she just nukes down that head and it's all fine. So we had back-to-back Yumeko resets just now. Let's see what happens here. I don't think that was the proper thing to happen. Not really sure why it did. Yeah, so now Trunda should nuke. Yeah, Trunda nukes, then Yumeko resets, and then Shu-Zen boosts the Trunda, and Trunda goes again. That is the way it's supposed to break down. That is the proper turn order for this team. So what's happening, and the reason why this speed tune is so honestly perfect and beautiful, is because Yumeko fast 1 resets, Trunda nukes. Yumeko 2 resets, Shu-Zen boosts, Trunda nukes. So Trunda is getting nuke after nuke. Very, like, she only uses the A2. If the team is running properly and correctly, she'll only be using the A2 the entire time. There was just now 175 million damage from one hit just now. That is insanity. That is pure insanity. These heads have like no uptime. This Firrol boost is crazy. Switching Lydia over into the 9-piece protection may be the way to go. I mean, if you're doing 100 million, Lydia is basically adding an extra 5 million just from her increased speed. Sorry, no, the strengthen. Because the increased speed is copied from Shu-Zen. Now, technically, if Lydia was to replace the increased speed, it may break the protection bonus anyways. So maybe it is just best to have her in 9-piece protection anyways over even the curse set. I mean, if the Yumekos can spread their hex correctly, then yeah, there's no reason to have Lydia anywhere else. But the damage is even crazier now than before. Wow. But you can see here, I mean, the team is honestly flawless. Which maybe I'm just out of the loop and all the Trunda teams are always like this. You could probably do more damage with this on manual. Well, definitely, because you could target the correct heads and everything. But this is full auto. This is full auto. Maybe 50 billion damage on Hydra team. I wouldn't be surprised if we hit it. I mean, I was hoping to do yesterday 1 billion per minute. We're at 3 billion per minute. No, sorry. We're at 2 billion per minute, basically. That is awesome. You can see all the heads are just falling. Trunda's still at 20 on her Devour stacks, which also something you want to be mindful of. If you are not able to kill the heads as quick as this, you may want to consider getting somebody else higher crit damage than Trunda, which in this case is going to be very difficult to do because she's like 420 crit damage. But if you do get somebody higher crit damage than her, then she's going to be able to not be the first person targeted by the Mark of the Hydra. But I mean, honestly, I'm just excited. I'm very happy for that rotation. Now I want to see if on the optimizer there was any other teams that, even on different rotations, that had Trunda full auto. Let's see, Hydra rotation 2. I'll let you guys watch that a little bit longer. Let's see, exclude manual teams. Yeah, no. So like this team is popular. Okay, this team very common. Shu-Zen, Yumeko, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, this is a common team, right? I'm not thinking of anything spectacular here, but what happens typically is the Yumekos are both fast, and the Shu-Zen's faster than that Yumeko. Yeah, so she's faster than all the Yumekos. When in my situation, the Shu-Zen's actually slower than the Yumekos, and it allows for a full auto team. This team, this Trunda, is built about as well as my Trunda's built. But somehow, like I said, I don't know the math behind this, honestly. I don't know what's causing it to be full auto. The run's finished in 30 minutes, which is crazy. But if you go to exclude manual teams, it's not even 1 billion with his account. So Hydra rotation, let's see, 3. Maybe Hydra, not normal. Normal is going to be a little different. I did check not brutal, which we dropped down damage just a little bit there. It's okay. I want to share with you guys this a little bit longer. Let's exclude manual teams on Nightmare. Let's see what we got coming up. 1 billion, okay. So we're not seeing anything on any of the Hydra rotations, but if we go to brutal, you're going to see some double Trunda teams that are full auto. And the reason why they are full auto is because of how Shu-Zen targets. So double Trunda, wait for it. There we go. And I was trying to do this. Well, this is a little bit different. I was seeing double Yumeko plus double Trunda and Shu-Zen, I believe is what it was, something like that. But that's 3 billion full auto. Maybe it's on. It was definitely rotation 1. I saw this team. And the way it's working is Trunda 1 still has the buffs when Shu-Zen comes back around, and then she drops them. Exclude manual. It may not be here. Honestly, I don't know where it's at. Maybe it just got lost in time. But let's just watch this for a second. I mean, I can't do this kind of damage on my account. Like I said, this video is not free-to-play friendly. It's not even whale friendly, but it is entertaining. I mean, who doesn't like seeing absurdly high numbers hit just time after time? Maybe not the enemy clans. That's a potential person who doesn't like seeing it. But let's see. We're about to get a reset. So Lydia does her thing. Yumeko resets, boosts her up. Boom. 143 million damage. 143 million. Wow. So I'm kind of curious. If we did 140 million, actually, don't need that many zeros. 140 million times 0.05. That's 7 million damage that the Lydia's buff, well, not necessarily 7. It's more like 6 million damage probably that Lydia's buff had added to that damage. So the trade-off we got for switching out the Hex may be worth it because the Yumekos are still placing the Hex. It's just not up on every target. Let's see how many it's up on. So Yumeko does one target. This other Yumeko, does she do a different target? I hope she does. She does. She does a different one. So we're missing 2 heads with Hex. I mean, they got a lot of damage from the Hex as well, though. 8, 8, and 10. It's an interesting situation because they don't spread it properly. I mean, there's a lot of damage being shared by the Hex. The Hex may just be the way to go. It's just a little bit difficult to know for sure because of the fact that if we did this on manual, if you did it on manual 100%, having Lydia in protection is the way to go. But since this is on full auto, like I'm not clicking anything, then it's a toss-up. I'm going to see what the damage ends up being compared to the screenshot that Mahoma sent me, 42.6 billion. This is with Lydia in Cursed. This is going to be with Lydia in Protection. Whichever one's better is the one I'm going to stick with. So we're going to let this run. It's going to be done in 23 minutes, 24 minutes probably, and we'll see how much damage it is. But man, 12 billion in 7 minutes. That is wild. So we have 2 targets with Hex. Who else could have Curse set on them? I could put a Yumeko in Curse, but it's not going to do anything different because her A2 literally does it. The Firrol can't be in Curse. Like we have protection, protection, protection. Nobody else could even fit in Curse set. So it's just now like, does it even matter? Everything's getting destroyed. I've seen times where this Trunda will use, I think, 4 of her A2 abilities before the Head of Wrath takes a turn. You may see it here. So far, nobody's gotten any turns whatsoever. No heads have, because Shu-Zen is about to do her turn meter boosting stuff, place the decreased speed, and the Trunda comes in with a nuke. So she's already done 3 A2s against the Head of Wrath, who is Force Affinity, by the way, which is why he's surviving so long. And now she just comes in and does 2 more. So we have 4 total A2 abilities used before the Head of Wrath, even with the buff. Like, he still had that buff up before he could even take a turn, which is awesome. Like, it's a pretty cool team. I'm happy for it. I'm excited for it. I'm proud of this team. I think it's cool. It was fun making. Honestly, though, like I said, the speed tune, I wish I could say I knew exactly how I stumbled on this. But it was literally just, hey, I want to try Shu-Zen a little bit slower than the Yumeko. It was, I'll build her with protection. The protection was about as fast as we could get it. It ended up being 1 speed slower than Yumeko. And the Trunda build was just how it landed as well. I honestly think if these speeds were too much different, this may not work. And you'd have to manual it. But look, Trunda goes, boom. She has 1 turn left on these buffs. You can't have any buff extensions because a single buff extension, Shu-Zen would then be boosting. But like, that Shu-Zen is going at the perfect speed so that the fast Yumeko resets right after that Shu-Zen does her A3. So Shu-Zen is always getting to use either the A2 to actually reset Trunda specifically, or the A3 to just do her debuffs and her increased turn meter and stuff. And then Trunda's just an eraser, just erases Hydra heads like it's nothing. Now I am curious if the Lydia is applying her increased speed plus the strengthen, if that is giving Trunda the damage boost. Because just then, okay, now Lydia has 2 turns there. So that hit. Let me see, because I think Shu-Zen's increased speed may be up the whole time. So Trunda gets 1 turn. Yeah, I think her damage boost is applied basically the whole time, but we have the increased speed all the time now for sure, as far as the buffed up version of it, because it may be dropping the plus 5% damage and bringing it back. So with the protection set 9-piece, we're guaranteed that every buff on this Trunda is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, bunch of extra damage basically. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we got a big chunk of extra damage, 35%. Big chunks. But yeah, I'm gonna let this run out, guys. We have probably about 20 minutes left of this run. I'll let you guys watch it. I'll probably speed it up a little bit, but I'll visit you all once this run's actually finished. I'm gonna leave it in the video, so if the video seems a little bit longer, that's why. But yeah, check it out on the optimizer if you want. I'll actually, what I can do is go ahead and show you the stats of these champions, because it's all here. But if you don't have these exact champions, then you may not be able to see this. It's just the same build. The Firrol now is a 9-piece. That's not the team that I ran, though. Let's see. Exclude manual teams. So only 1 variation. No other variations of this team. This is it. We have Firrol in, see, 3, 6, 7, 8 pieces there. But yeah, if you want to take a screenshot, feel free. 30 minutes, full auto. Scroll down a little bit. Mastery's there. Now, I originally had Lydia or one of these champions with Cycle of Magic. Firrol's fine. This Yumeko had Cycle of Magic, and so did Shu-Zen. It's not gonna make much of a difference, but it could cause Shu-Zen to boost at the wrong time. So, just in case it did, just take it off of her. You don't need it. You don't need this buff either. It's not a huge deal, and having the debuff extension is not a huge deal because the debuffs are not gonna fall off. But if you want to eliminate any extra RNG, just get rid of them. It's not a problem whatsoever. But man, this one's climbing fast. 11 minutes. If we go 30 minutes and it's keeping this 2-to-1 ratio, we're gonna have 60 billion damage full auto. That is crazy to me. But all right, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna walk away while this goes. Thank you for watching. I'll be back once this finishes. All right, guys, so we're coming up on the very end of this run, pushing 50 billion damage. That is huge. So the previous best was 42.6 with Lydia and Cursed, and we're over 50 billion. So I think Lydia's staying in protection. I think she's made a pretty significant boost with that protection set. The Yumekos could push up even more damage if you manually targeted. Of course, Trunda manual targeting anyways would make the damage quite a bit more, probably pushing honestly close to 60 billion, because you could actually spread the hexes, you could get Trunda to target the correct heads, everything. But if we get one more nuke, there we go. It really couldn't have ended much better than that. I think the biggest nuke that I saw was 200 million on one head, but we ended with 51.46 billion damage dealt on Hydra in 30 minutes. That's a fast run. It's full auto. Trunda doing 48 billion. And then, of course, Yumeko doing 2 billion, 1 billion. And then, for example, Lydia before from Cursed did 3.3. The Yumekos did more because their hexes were applied more frequently, essentially, because before, Lydia would have taken some spots that the Yumekos could have been in. So definitely an improvement on damage. I'm happy for this. Guys, best of luck if you try to build this team. The speeds, I wish I could give a specific speed breakdown, but I don't think I can, honestly, because I really don't know what the speed should even be. I just know what the speeds are for this team. The speed ranges may be tight or maybe a pretty big gap. I was trying to hide myself just in case anybody wanted to take a screenshot of that, or if I want to take a screenshot of it later, but that's going to be the run. If you guys are interested in having any Hydra work done on your account, just shoot me a message, fill out the form down below in the description. We can get that set up. We can get you hooked up and everything. But we just did 51.46 billion. Let's see how much Hydra points that is. Finish out everything there. It's going to be like well over 100 billion Hydra Clash points just from one player, right? So let's see. We're going to go into first place in just a moment. We got all of our chests, one key, full auto, 30 minutes. Dang, that is crazy to me. It makes my keys feel useless because my keys, I spend so long trying to push 1 billion damage, and then this one has 205 billion from one key. Wow. But guys, thank you all for watching. Love and appreciate all of you. Best of luck. This is a little bit disheartening for some players because, I mean, Trunda's just nasty. Honestly, I think she needs a nerf. Still, like, this is just absurd. Absolute absurdity. All right, guys, take it easy, and I'll catch you on the next one.